Celebrating and Taking Charge of ADHD is an innovative group coaching program incorporating mindfulness as an essential tool throughout. This podcast addresses a number of topics that we face on a day-to-day basis and celebrates the precious human life we have all been given. We are already good enough the way we are. However, you may be aware of some of the symptoms associated with ADHD that hold us back, so let's take charge of it together. So, welcome to episode 3 of the Celebrating ADHD podcast. My name is Jono, and I'm here with the founder of Celebrating ADHD, Sue Hart. Hi Sue, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks, Jono.
Good stuff.
Good to be here. Good to be alive.
It's good to have you here. Just a few questions for you today about your mission and what it is that you are doing to help the world. So the first one is, why is it worth taking charge of ADHD?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And not that many people know that ADHD affects 2.8% of the worldwide population. And that's just the statistic of people that have been diagnosed. So, for example, the charity ADHD Aware estimate that there are 1.5 million adults in the UK alone that have ADHD, but only 120,000 have actually been diagnosed. And this is due to one of the failings of the NHS to actually get a diagnosis, because it can take up to 7 years to get that. So the question is, what will lead you to actually get that diagnosis and really get present to what ADHD is about? Now, it's really important to take charge more than ever due to the ever-changing circumstances that are evolving in our society. Things are getting busier, work life is getting more demanding, there's global challenging times ahead with whether it be pandemics, natural disasters, and also right down to in our own personal worlds is the topic of relationships and family issues being one of the main causes of depression. So research has shown that with person with ADHD is twice as likely than someone to actually get divorced, and relationships just become dysfunctional. So if you let ADHD control you, what it does is it leads to impulsivity, and you start acting on every thought. And those thoughts can be very detrimental to your well-being, and they're not related to where you want to go. And ultimately, you lead a miserable life chasing superfluous objectives from one to the other, and you just don't have anything to show from it other than pure exhaustion, burnout, and confusion. So the most important thing is the bottom line, and we have to look at the bottom line, and the body keeps the score. Our health suffers, relationships suffer, and time gets stolen through hours and hours of procrastination. And ultimately, your life comes to an end without you having fulfilled your potential as a human life. Now, the question is do you want to be the prisoner of the past or a pioneer of the future? If you want to be the pioneer, then it's about taking charge now.
Definitely. There's a very good answer right there. And can I just commend you for your use of the word superfluous? That's not a word that you hear much these days. So it's a good one to use. And it's all about spreading the awareness as well. And I think, you're definitely doing that with Celebrating ADHD. And it's a very important thing to do as well. Is it important to receive a diagnosis before joining the course?
Well, no, a diagnosis is not important in terms of before joining the course, because the topics covered within the course will help anyone improve mindfulness. But anyone that shows the signs of and the symptoms of ADHD should sign up to the course and get present to this content. However, the diagnosis does help provide acceptance, and it's all part of the journey, as I mentioned before, in terms of going through getting to this level of acceptance. Having the diagnosis does lead to that. And so we recommend that you go to a health specialist to get this, someone that has actually fully trained to identify what the symptoms are that you're having, and plus how it's the impairments on your life, so how it's actually impacting your life. And they can look at it from a holistic approach and give you the correct diagnosis. And if you want to find someone suitable, then please get in touch, as we can recommend people in the area.
So there you go. And the question for you is really, how have you personally taken charge of your ADHD?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And mindfulness, I would say, has been the biggest tool that I've developed in this area to take charge. But also yoga as well, in terms of connecting with the body, because it became very disconnected with the body. And it's also about developing self-compassion and forgiveness for yourself. So there's been a lot of work done on self-development, therapy, connecting with the inner child. And I'm going to say it's an ongoing process, and it's a journey, and it's a journey that I'm still on. And the point is just to keep progressing towards that intention. And that's what I've been doing to date, and that's what I'm continue to doing, to be able to fully take charge and live a fulfilled life.
That's it. And you know what they say, it's all about the journey and not the destination. So no, I'm definitely with you on that one. And I think self-development and growth is such a big part of it, especially, you know, with people who have ADHD. I think it really comes hand in hand. And I'm afraid that we've come up to the last question now, which is, what is the biggest challenge that you are facing right now?
Yeah, the biggest challenge at the moment is really removing all toxicity from all relationships. Relationships are our life, and Tony Robbins said the quality of our life depends on the quality of our relationships, which actually got that from the founder of S Training, Landmark, Werner Erhard. So that's where it came from originally. But it's true, is that our life is the relationships that we have. And what has happened, to be able to develop coping mechanisms from a very early age, is we develop this persona to survive. And it's almost like a pretense you pretend to be someone that you're not, to be able to get on with people, to please people, and not upset anybody. And I think that's really does produce the toxicity within yourself, because you're not integral to what you really want to say, and to be able to express emotions as well. If we suppress those emotions, then it just comes out in a passive aggressive way to those that are close to you and others around you. So that's the biggest challenge, is to actually be mindful all the time of every thought and every action, to make sure that the intention is coming back to just love and harmony.
You heard it from Sue Hart, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today on the Celebrating ADHD podcast. But Sue, thank you for your time, and we'll see you in the next episode of the podcast. Thank you for downloading. You've been listening to the Celebrating ADHD podcast, empowering people to reach their full potential. Celebrating ADHD works best combined as a holistic treatment program, so we advise you to consult your health specialist for medical advice. If you are not sure if you have ADHD, please get in touch, as we can recommend a medical expert, as the diagnosis is all part of the journey. One of the best ways to take charge of your ADHD is through connecting with others that have ADHD too. Please follow us on the Celebrating ADHD Facebook page, Instagram and Twitter, or join the members area at www.celebratingadhd.com.